What's up, YouTube? Check it out. I like that. Every fifth scale RC guy needs one of those. If you don't have one, guys, I feel your pain, because I wanted one for so long. I mean, I've been in this hobby now, I don't know what, a little over 2 years, and I finally have a toolbox. Long story short, I moved down to Florida with a backpack and the clothes I had on, and needless to say, I put all my stuff in storage. It was just way too expensive to bring most of my stuff down here, as opposed to just buying it brand new. So I sold most of my stuff. I never had a nice toolbox though. I've been working on cars all my life, never had a nice toolbox. For Christmas, my brother up in New Hampshire had this bad boy sent to me, and my parents brought it over in a small trailer, and yeah, I dove into this giant box, wondering what it was that he bought me. He was just down here like a few months before, visiting me and seeing the baby, and he's not into RC, so I mean, it's not that he doesn't like it, but that's not his thing. So he was seeing that it was, basically it's my thing, and he noticed that I didn't have a toolbox, so he was nice enough to do that for me. It's absolutely awesome. I finally got this garage situated enough. I don't know if you guys have seen some of my videos. This garage was getting really bad. It's a 2-car garage. It's a small 2-car garage, which most of them are down here in Florida, and yeah, this side still needs to be dealt with. Ideally, that back wall will be all uniform. Everything will have the same style bin. Everything will be in the same style bin, and they'll all be, labeled. And yeah, my OCD is pretty bad, so it's driving me nuts. But it's a work in progress. I'm slowly getting stuff moved out. Trash, styrofoam from boxes from Christmas. You couldn't even move in here a few weeks ago. I got a lot done. I made some use of the shelves that I had kicking around, and still need to organize them, but they're big enough to hold some of the tent scales, and just miscellaneous stuff. I got over there, old remotes, Traxxas remotes, just miscellaneous stuff that I just don't have the time with the baby and the kids. I'm lucky I have time to be out here making this video. So another thing, I wanted to say thank you to all the subscribers that I've noticed popping up recently. I haven't made a video in months, yet I'm getting subscribers left and right, so that tells me fifth scale is in full effect. Which, to be honest, when I got my first rig, it really didn't seem like there was too many guys out there in the fifth scale, but in the past few years, the Facebook groups that I'm in, they're blown up. I mean, there's so many people that have been in the RC for a long time getting their first fifth scale, or even guys that have never been in the RC getting a fifth scale. So yeah, I mean, the toolbox, huge. I'm excited. I made some room in my garage. I'm gonna set it up so that it's a little bit more uniform and organized. This workbench my parents got me for Christmas, so these two things I got to unbox. It's awesome. It comes with a little wooden vise. I mean, it's not, of course, the greatest thing in the world, but the bench itself, you have to build it. It's a Harbor Freight bench. Nice felt line drawers. They don't open up really wide, really far, but it's really nice, guys. It comes with a little anvil pegs. These wooden pegs here, I'm assuming is for like woodworking and that kind of thing, but I'm sure they'll come in handy. The monitor is junk. I just got some stuff that I'm trying to get rid of week by week in the trash. I managed to get the toolbox, somewhat organized. I've built up a good amount of tools over the years. My wife has an older car. We have one older car, and of course that requires maintenance. And so yeah, every time I've worked on it, I've managed to buy a few new tools, and slowly but surely we will fill this bad Larry. So yeah, I'm excited about that, but that's not why I made the video. I made some new stands for these two bad boys to get them off the ground. They're basically office chairs that we had kicking around for the kids' old computer desks that they're not using anymore. They got new chairs, whatever. The Vector clone has been on the ground its entire life, so I had to get it off the ground. And I'll slowly start building this thing soon. That new RC Max 46 is, I mean, it's what I need. I'm fiending for that thing. It's expensive, the kit, but they made a kit for this particular platform, and there's a few guys out there that have it. Of course, it requires upgrades here and there, so it's one of those things where I'm not sure how much money I want to put into an RC truck. And I'm one of the few guys in the fifth scale that really has a limit on how much they'll spend. I see a lot of guys out there, they just don't seem to have a limit. Me personally, I've been a hot rod guy all my life. I mean, I've dumped a lot of money into muscle cars, but those you can kind of get it back, and it has a little bit more use. It just I can justify a little bit more, but even then, I had issues buying certain stuff, and I'd say to myself, well, do I really need to go that much faster, or do I really need that much more power? I mean, I'm driving the thing back and forth to work. I've already lost my license, 3 or 4 times, that kind of thing. So, long story short, I don't know how much money I'll put into this, but buying a $2,000 RC Max, I think I will do, because it's beautiful. One of the other guys that I'm friends with on YouTube and some of the groups I'm in, he just bought one. It's absolutely beautiful, guys. If you're a fifth scale guy, you're a gas guy, this is the motor to have. I mean, and it makes this, it actually moves this big tank. I'm assuming you guys have seen the new Kraken Vector trophy truck. I'm just gonna leave it there, because if you haven't, Google it. So yeah, and I managed to get an iKilly 2 Hillentronics kill switch for it. That's waiting in a box. I've got a throttle servo or throttle and brake servo for it, brand new in a box. I got a few things that that I've been building up for it, and eventually, if I can bring myself to spend the $2,000, I'm gonna buy myself the RC Max 46 kit and go for it. As long as the driveline doesn't require too many other upgrades. Like if I have to replace that whole transmission and all kinds of other stuff, I don't know, maybe I'll just throw an OBR 34 in it, call it a day. The Baja, I got an FS clutch waiting in the drawer with a DDM 9500 spring. I'm looking at the Olamat SX5 pipe from Hurricane Art RC. It looks like the pipe I need to replace this cheap Dominator clone pipe to allow this SCZ engine to breathe. But I know that FS clutch is going to help. I just talked to a friend of mine who just put an FS clutch in his. He said it felt like his 29cc stock engine was a 34. So that, my friends, was good news. The FS clutch, it's relatively cheap. You can get it at Hurricane Art RC or Detroit Performance RC. It's the factory style clutch without the pad, so it's metal on metal, which, in my opinion, and apparently some others, because they're selling them, Hurricane Art is selling them as a kit, it needs a cooling fan, a clutch cooling fan. So the adapter, the factory adapter that you normally run, you see it in there? You'd run this in place of it. Yeah, DDM 9500 spring for $8. This thing's supposed to be a beast, and it's going to allow my engine to rev up to 9500. So I'm looking forward to that too. Got the rest of the Baja pots sitting in there. We'll get her back together and get her running soon. In the meantime, we're getting the X2 ready for this coming weekend's races. One of the things I want to mention to you guys, I lost an engine mesh gear insert, and the ones that go in the bottom of the chassis here. Heat the whole area up before you take those out. It makes them come out like butter, right? I keep stripping the heads of the bolts out, and I need to replace them with Torx or something because they just suck. I just installed all brand new ones after taking the hodgepodge ones I had in there out, because last time I took it to the track, right before I took it to the track, I lost one of them. So I had these Joffer 18.5 and 19.5 length ones. I had to throw 2 stock ones in, an 18.5 and a 19.5, just to get the gear mesh right, so that I could, right enough so that I could race it. But you could tell that the gear mesh wasn't right because you could hear it. You know what I mean? It just wasn't perfect. So I ordered a new set now that I have the time to get them and put them in before the next race. And I just put the new set in with the old bolts, and sure enough, I didn't get the Allen key all the way in there on one of them, and I stripped it. So I already have, I just put the brand new inserts in and stripped one of the bolts. But my point is when you're taking the bolts out and you're taking those mesh inserts out, if you have yourself a little torch like this, heat up the area before you take the bolt out. It comes out like butter. Normally you got to really work at them and put a lot of pressure into cracking it, and it cracks when it turns. So that's something that you don't have to deal with if you throw a little heat on there. Replaced one of my dog bones recently. That was bent. That's something I noticed when I had it on the bench running. It's one of those things where you're not going to really notice it unless you have it on the bench. So it's a good thing to kind of get your truck up on a bench, get it running, take a look at whether or not your dog bones are warped or bent. It was doing this routine. You know what I mean? Changed these out. may not work. It's a little too tight on the ball here. These are Rovin push rod ends, so I had to go ahead and replace them real quick. The factory ones were all worn from eating themselves up on the inside of the bead lock. And I was, of course, trying to do this on a pinch a penny, race in your RC budget. So yeah, those might not work, but they have taken the play that's normally there out of it, but they're making my servo work a little bit harder. So we'll see how that goes. The King Motor aluminum alloy intake, or the alloy intake with the Teflon gaskets, we're going to hope that works, and I'll find out soon. Of course, again, I'll find out this weekend, or yeah, this coming weekend. This Victory pipe, one of the guys out at the track, Danny, was nice enough to give this to me because I was out there running an unsilenced pipe, and it was way too loud. The owner of the track said no, so had to go. The pipes here, these silenced pipes, do cause the engine to run a little bit hotter, and I think that's why I had some issues that day, because my tune wasn't right. I didn't, again, I'm still having issues learning this whole tuning process. I'm just too heavy with my hand, and I need to be more patient and tune in tinier increments, I'm leaving the shock tower bent because I'm assuming it's just going to get whacked up again, and this bumper brace broken. But I got her cleaned up and ready. New mesh inserts, new dog bone, alloy aluminum intake, and yeah, outside of that, I think we're ready to go. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I should get some footage while we're out at the track on the 10th. I'm going to get my camera mounted, those clone GoPros, and even the GoPros. The cases that they come in, the cheap plastic, is almost impossible to get the nut tight enough so that the camera doesn't fall down. So I put a ton of pressure on it, tightened it real tight. Of course, I cracked all the plastic teeth, I guess you would call them, that the mount sits in. So the case is a junk. But they do sell alloy ones online. So if you're having a problem with that, go ahead and check them out. They're on eBay, on Amazon. You can buy the alloy GoPro and clone action camera mounts. So I'm hoping I can get those here before I leave for the track, and I'll get some onboard footage this time, and that'll be a lot of fun. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys.